I am a fighter, born a survivor. I don't ever walk away, I don't ever play the game. I don't need it easy for me to believe it. I can be the lightning rod, I can be the aerosol. I am a fighter, born a survivor. I don't ever walk away, I don't ever play the game. I don't need it easy for me to believe it. I can be the lightning rod, I can be the aerosol. I am a fighter, born a survivor. I don't ever walk away, I don't ever play the game. I don't need it easy for me to believe it. I can be the lightning rod, I can be the aerosol. I am a fighter, born a survivor. I don't ever walk away, I don't ever play the game. I don't need it easy for me to believe it. I can be the lightning rod, I can be the aerosol. I am a fighter, born a survivor. I don't ever walk away, I don't ever play the game. I don't need it easy for me to believe it. I can be the lightning rod, I can be the aerosol.
Good evening, everybody, and good evening from South Africa. My name is Mark Gerard, and it's really great to be with you here tonight. I'm calling in from Durban, South Africa, for representing Wildlife Act Fund. I'll give a bit of an overview on that later, but I just really wanted to quickly say thank you to everybody who's organized this whole event, and especially for those people participating in the event. It's really a significant fundraiser for Wildlife Act and for the rhino conservation work that we do. And so really what I wanted to do was just to give you a brief overview of the organization, where we are, what we do, and specifically zooming into some of the programs and projects that this initiative is focusing on. So yeah, really great to be with everyone tonight. And with that, let me dive straight into it. Okay, so Wildlife Act, we're a conservation nonprofit. We are based on the east coast of South Africa in KwaZulu-Natal. Primarily our work is in KwaZulu-Natal, but we do work across the region as well. And I just wanted to zoom specifically into some of the reserves that we work in KwaZulu-Natal. Those ones highlighted in green, all the protected areas in the region, and many of them, majority of them, are rhino reserves that have strong populations of rhino, but obviously under pressure from the current threat of rhino poaching. So Wildlife Act, we are a registered nonprofit. We work with a number of conservation organizations and government institutions to ensure that protected areas are effectively managed, to ensure that our priority and endangered species are conserved, and to make sure that the people living outside and around with these linked to these protected areas are brought into conservation and the work that is being carried out in this area. So specifically for this talk, I just wanted to zoom in on Shishlu-Mfolozi Park, that park that's highlighted or surrounded by that red circle. It's one of the oldest parks in Africa. It's a really, really critical population of rhino, both black and white, and it really was where the white rhino, southern white rhino population was saved from extinction. a number of decades ago. This is where the numbers of white rhino were extinct across the whole region, and they were discovered, a population of around 50 or 60 in the Umfolozi area. And from protecting that species and really putting proactive effort into protecting that species, it was able to take that as a source population and establish new populations outside of that. And this is where we are today. So it's often referred to as the birthplace of rhino. And it's just a really strong history of conservation, but also a really strong cultural history as well. The Zulu people, King Shaka, were heavily involved in this area. A lot of the history of the Zulu people emanate from this area, and that cultural aspect with wildlife is really key. So what does Wildlife Act do? Our focus is really on gathering information in the field, in the communities that we work in, using that information to inform our work at a sort of a level up from that, and then also using that information to inform strategic conservation of those species at a policy level. And we sit on a number of working groups to guide that policy with that information that we collect. So we have teams that are based in the parks 365 days a year. They're out there gathering information. You can see one of our team members here using telemetry to track whether it's a wild dog or a rhino or one of the endangered or priority species in that park. And there's a person, I've included this photo because that person with our monitor there is a volunteer, a paying volunteer, but it's a funding mechanism that we've used to really support that long-term need of having people on the ground in the field. And it obviously allows people from all over the world to come and join our monitoring teams and really understand the conservation issues and challenges that exist. So Shishlui Umfolozi Park, it has a number of challenges. Rhino poaching is obviously a big one, but a lot of it is stemming from sort of socioeconomic challenges that exist outside the park. So there are 10 traditional authorities, tribal authorities that live outside the park. Those populations of people are growing, and there's very poor service delivery and opportunity, and very little from a sort of economic development plan for those areas. So a lot of the people there are unemployed. A lot of the people living there have very little access to opportunities and are heavily reliant on natural resources. And what it results in is that a lot of the people living in that area look into the park for support and look into the park for opportunity. And obviously the park can only provide so much currently. There's always the sort of search for new opportunities and development of tourism businesses, etc., but it's limited in what it can provide, and that causes a natural pressure on the park. And often the government doesn't respond to sort of these concerns until it's really raised in a dire way, such as this burning tires outside one of the gates of the park. So it's a really serious situation, and a lot of the times conservationists being pulled into this area to address it. Okay, so this is Zamangube. He heads up our community conservation program, and I thought it was just important to put a face to the program and to the name. And really, our aim is to disrupt the wildlife crime by building on that natural passion that kids and youth have for nature and wildlife. And so our community conservation focuses on a number of different levels. We work in schools, in primary schools, and build that support through kids camps. So we get kids into the field for 4-day conservation camps and really introducing them to what goes on in the park. Then we follow those kids through, especially those that are interested, through into their high school and post-school periods of their lives where we can continue to engage them. And then once we get into the school leaver phase, it's really providing exposure to them of opportunities in the conservation sector, identifying where the gaps exist for them to pursue a career in conservation, and really try and sort of shepherd and work with those individuals as they get into their working careers. And really, our aim is to try and really strengthen the linkages and communication channels between people and parks, and importantly, build livelihoods based on strong conservation activities. So here we've just got one of the kids camp groups out in the park on a game drive, just understanding what is going on there. They were trying to introduce them to a number of different staff that are working in the park at the time, and really give them that exposure to these opportunities in a meaningful way, and really a sort of a hands-on participatory way. Just another photo of one of the groups of kids taking out telemetry. We teach them about tracking, about monitoring, and teach them how to use telemetry, so they get exposed to a much wider range of opportunity than they would have been, and really building on that sort of enthusiasm and energy of youth, talking, getting sort of discussions around questions, and getting perspectives from the youth on this. And then this is a group of school leavers in partnership with the Wilderness Leadership School, really building a leadership component of it, but getting these youth into the park, overnighting in the field, talking about leadership, talking about challenges that exist, but rebuilding that connection that people have with nature, which we often forget about. And obviously there's priorities in terms of jobs and feeding themselves, but this is a huge opportunity that we need to build onto. And so this is where sort of Wildlife Act works, and also in terms of the leadership structures, improving governance, strengthening institutions so that we can engage more effectively with communities and at these levels. This is just one example of one of our conservation ambassadors who had gone through the Kids Camp program, finished school, came to us once she had finished school. We found a bursary opportunity for her. She went and studied, and this is her working in the Kruger National Park. So just a really sort of important sort of flow through of opportunity there. The other thing that Wildlife Act is involved in is rhino monitoring. So we have Sihle Mate, one is our black rhino monitor based in the park, and he really works within our existing monitoring structure. And part of this is to understand the health of the population, any threats to the population, the dynamics exist, and that sort of obviously helps with the stability of the population and in the park. But it also allows us to understand where the opportunity exists to move individuals out of the park and to establish new populations elsewhere. And then just briefly, we're involved in a number of other things which are all sort of integrated. This is the detection fence, which Wildlife Act is erecting around the park. And this is really to pick up incursions into the park as quickly as possible, so that they can be addressed as quickly as possible, so that poachers can be stopped before rhino are shot. The other support we provide is around ranger support, capacity building, equipment, etc. And then the canine unit, which I'll get to a little bit later. But this whole sort of component and the fences, building economic opportunity. We've now employed a small business development program where small local businesses from the community are responsible for sections of fence and the maintenance thereof. And that obviously sort of makes the fence an opportunity rather than a barrier. The canine unit, this is a couple of the handlers with their dogs, Ghost and Gecko, in the park. This has been a hugely successful project and really trying to just stop poachers before rhino are killed. And using the skills and the capabilities of the canines to really, really swiftly respond to any poaching threat. And so, our aim is really around conserving this incredibly important rhino population, and we focus on, obviously, there's the short-term combat of the immediate threat, such as with the canine unit and the fence and the rangers, but it's very important that we work on long-term solutions at the same time. So making sure that the park forms part of the local economy, so that it's relevant to local people and their own futures. And so that's really the long-term opportunity that exists there. So yeah, thanks to everybody again for allowing me to present and just give you that overview. Please, I've put Chris Kelly, who is with us, I've put his details there. He's heading up our Rhino work, and please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody, and I do look forward to answering any questions after this if there are any. Thank you.